let's jump to somebody who is done in New England, at least for now. You never know what the future holds. But Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, both going to the Raiders. Greg, just kind of your thoughts on the impact this could have on Mac Jones first.
Yeah, Nick, I think a lot depends on what they do to who they bring in to replace Josh McDaniels.
Is it Bill O'Brien, Greg? Is he the guy?
I think he's the leader in the clubhouse, the overwhelming favorite, and I think that's the best scenario for everybody. You get Bill O'Brien, and they already have a quarterback coach there, Bo Hardegee. I don't know how they feel about him. There are a bunch of former Patriots assistants, sort of in the ether, like Jerry Shablinski was the former quarterbacks coach, was on Joe Judge's staff. There's George Godsey, who was on Brian Flores' Miami staff. Chad O'Shea is still, I think he's a passing game coordinator for the Browns. There's a bunch of guys still around. But to me, in my mind, Bill O'Brien is clearly the top choice to replace Josh McDaniels. It makes things a lot easier. He has a relationship with Mac Jones. Mac helped teach him the Alabama offense before Mac went to the Patriots last offseason. So I think that's great. I think Bill's great with young quarterbacks. Look at his work with, Deshaun Watson. It was not exactly a Patriots type quarterback. He certainly made that work in Houston. He won a lot of games with a lot of mediocre quarterbacks in Houston, made the playoffs 4 times with guys like Brian Hoyer and Case Keenum and, other guys like that. So I think the world of Bill O'Brien. If he comes on, that's a grand slam for the Patriots. I think it's the best case scenario for them. And then, also we just got a bulletin.
Yeah, Joe Brady's going to be the new quarterback coach for the Panthers. So he takes the place of Ken Dorsey. So
the other thing is, Dave Ziegler. To me, that's the bigger piece of the puzzle right there, because Dave Ziegler was a guy who had been in the system, stepped up. They retained him when he was interviewing with the Broncos a year ago, stepped up to retain him. And, we saw the impact that he had on the first draft, and also free agency. I think he was involved in all that. 3 impact rookies. I thought they did a really good job last year in the draft. Ziegler was a guy who was known to be able to stand up and voice his opinion to Bill Belichick, which I think is very important inside the building there. I don't think Nick Caserio did that enough, and it was part of the reason why the personnel fell off at times with the Patriots. And you got to think it's probably Elliott Wolf who gets promoted. They probably think he's more ready now than he was a year ago. But still, Elliott Wolf is a guy I've covered for a long time. A really smart guy, very talented guy. Not exactly the biggest voice or confrontational guy when it comes to going toe-to-toe with Bill Belichick. So to me, that's where I'm a little bit more worried about some of these departures.
Last one for me before we get to the question of the day. Any shot that a blast from the past shows up? Scott Pioli, Thomas Dimitroff, any other of the names that could surface? Do you think there's any shot that maybe a Pioli, if he wants to leave the comforts of his gigs right now that he has, any shot that maybe Pioli comes back as a voice and could be that person who could push back on Bill?
I think it's possible. I think Pioli is now more open to returning to the league. He lives permanently on Nantucket now, so not that far away, and could be a good situation for him and his family. I would love to see that. I think Pioli's great. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But there are a bunch of guys, whether it's Dimitroff, Bob Quinn, who worked with Matt Patricia in Detroit. And then Look, we should also mention the Matt Patricia factor. He's sort of like this entity looming over the Patriots. Nobody knows exactly what he does, what he's going to do.
Mystery Matt.
I believe that he still has another year left on his Lions deal. So he could be the dreaded consultant again this year. But he's a factor in all of this, and he might be pivoting to more of a personnel role, which is what he had last year. So who knows? It's certainly strange times at One Patriot Place.